Good morning to y'all. Uh, I'd like to talk about something that somebody brought up. They said they'd like to, in their comments, that they'd like to hear some benefits of knowledge I've gained from experience. So, some of the lessons I learned came late, early in my prison career when I was involved with, you know, certain people. It's like boiling a frog slowly, cooking a frog slowly. He doesn't know he's being cooked. You don't realize you're involved in politics. Uh, you don't even realize you're political at all. You're just kind of going with the flow and doing your thing. And the bottom line is, because you're involved with the politics that you don't realize you're involved with, you don't see. You don't see the minute things in front of you that collectively amount to something very large and non-constructive. And what I'm talking about is what I believe is the major cause for recidivism in corrections anywhere in the world, but especially here in California, let alone in Vinland, America, whatever you want to call it, and that is narcotic use. Uh, so, what you got going on here with all this fentanyl, supposed overdose, that's a misnomer right there. It needs to be relabeled for what it is. It's murder. It's homicide. Considering the mortality rate in concert there with use of fentanyl, one must consider that fentanyl distribution and those who manufacture, therefore, are in the market of murdering people. Somebody doesn't overdose from fentanyl; they're murdered using anything from not just drugs they don't know are laced with it, be it an opiate or a joint or even a cheap over the counter or pharmaceutical that they believe they're getting cheaper through mail order or what have you. That might have been manufactured in China or somewhere south of the border, which is 90% fentanyl. This is murder. This is homicide. And as far as those looking to get high, that fall off, whose trip leaves them cold, uh, they don't think that they're killing themselves when they do this. They don't think they're going to die when they do this. They think they're going to get a head change. Um, but therein lies the rub, this thraldom, this slavery, this addictive personality that leads one down a dark path, the lost highway, if you will. Uh, you know, I believe this is the single biggest cause for recidivism in the prison system in California. Nietzsche once wrote, "Independence is a privilege reserved for the strong." And I believe that's true. And often we go through life uh, individually and collectively with associations uh, that we believe makes us strong, or that we perceive ourselves as strong because of alpha type thinking and personalities, when in fact it is a weakness. It's a self accepted weakness, and it robs one of their majesty or their potential to be a higher individual, intellectually, character wise, and and anything that they would strive to achieve other than the corruption of an illicit life. There seems to be quite a bit of success at that, up to a certain level. You get to a certain point, and all of a sudden, that's no longer a success. Either you're shit out the exhaust, by those who used you, uh, and eventually some of them get shit out the exhaust as well. You know, uh, Drugs are a bad scene. Any addictive personality is subject to replacing whatever addiction they have with another one when they get right. I give proper respect to any program, AA, NA, anything like that, Gambling Anonymous. I just had no use for it myself. I don't believe in relapse prevention plans. I believe that's just a permission self-given to hit the restart button and forgive yourself every time you do that. When I was done, I was done. That's all there was to it. Whatever it took, I was done. Myself, I didn't like the idea that I was capitulating to a self-accepted weakness. I didn't like the idea that I was forfeiting any kind of command of my faculties. I've seen some mighty, mighty hog warrior men taken out of this world because they were not in command of their faculties. But therefore was their downfall. So I didn't want to. I didn't want to be that guy. I mean, anybody can be got, and you know, if that was going to happen, that was going to happen. But it wasn't going to be because I didn't have my full faculties about myself. There's an old Spartan saying that he is best who was trained in the severest discipline. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. What is the severest discipline? Does it mean you have to be a total stoic, or that you have to, walk around with your chest out, your chin out? No. What it means is that your level of genuine, authentic self-esteem, your self-respect, warrants and dictates that you conduct yourself accordingly therewith. In doing so, others in turn start respecting you. Fortitude is more than just a strength to be able to withstand something. Fortitude also is the strength to dig deep down inside and say, I don't like who I am, or I don't like this about myself, whatever that may be. And then I'm going to change that. I'm going to do something about it. Today's the day. Today's the fucking day I do something about this. And then you do it. That's what fortitude is. Rectitude is knowing that it's the right thing to do. And what is the wrong thing to do. For me, continuing my involvement with something that was nefarious, illicit, bringing a whole lot of pain and misery to a whole lot of people. That right there was very profound in my thought process when I considered walking away from the life that I formerly led. And I knew with 2 life sentences, with no chance of getting out at that time, no inkling that I would ever even raise up again and hit the bricks, I knew having such a paradigm shift would make me an odd man out in that environment, in that world. And that's the thing about fortitude. It gave me more motivation to do that, to stand out, to be different. In the Odinist faith, there's the one Harriers, the Einarjar, the one against the all. That was very appealing to me. I thought, not only will I stand out as somebody who's reinvesting in my own character, my own integrity, but also that I will take a page from Odin's Havamal, and I will take a page from Odin's teachings, and I will sit there and I will turn my life around accordingly to that paradigm, and I will be the example. When I started doing this, I had no idea that others would follow my lead or walk with me on this path. I mean, I did some outlandish things at first. I would fast. I wanted to purge myself of all toxins and impure thoughts of how I was living my life. I had to break myself down to build myself back up. One of those mechanisms was forfeiting the only thing that they can't take from you in prison: your voice. You got a voice. You have a right to talk. You have a right not to talk. And so I exercised that right, and I started simple enough, dedicating my voice to All Father Odin on Wednesday nights. Actually, it originally was on Thursday nights, but on Wednesday nights is what it morphed into, from sunset till sunrise on Thursday mornings. Then I created this rite for those who followed the path that I follow, called the Volknut Rite, whereby you fast, you consume only water. You fast, you give up your voice, and this is all over 9 days and nights. And there's other parts to it too, but the main part is you fast, and you give up your voice. You don't speak at all for the 9 days and nights. That led me to more elongated meditations. You know, as long as you're talking or you're inundated by technology or anything else, you can't hear the divine voice inside yourself. By whatever faith you may subscribe to, you can't hear that if you're always talking. You know, it's a fact that when you talk, my last words right now won't stop reverberating and resonating through my whole being for at least 24, 30 hours. So by doing these 3-day rites of giving up my voice for 3 days in a period, I'm getting a little bit of inner wisdom from within, not without. So I started saying, this is working for me. Seek within, not without. Find the strength within. Find the fortitude within yourself. Become that severely disciplined individual. Friends, I can't tell you. The rewards are so manifold from the way I have changed my life, and the way you watching this, if you have a sorrowful soul right now, you too can change your life. There was no hope in my mind or my heart to ever walk out of the penitentiary when I decided to do this. And make no mistake about it, contrary to what everybody's saying on their little fat mouth podcast or whatever, I did not walk away because of any kind of drugs or anything. I was not chased off. I did not run away. My father had passed from this world, and my mother was not far behind him, and all it took was her to say, hey, you've been very selfish for all these years. I've stood by you. Is there anything you can do to find it in your heart to make it possible for me to visit you and hold your hand without glass between us before I leave this world? That's all it took. That was it. That was it. I wanted to be a good son finally. I wanted to do the right thing. There's that rectitude, that investment in integrity and character. And so that was why I did it. You know, that was it. As I got away from it, it became more and more difficult. My mom, I saw her one time, and then she passed. I got to hold her hand one time, and she passed. And they didn't even have a camera in the visiting room that day to be able to capture the moment. So now I had a chip on both shoulders because I thought my purpose for why I walked away from all this was not the betrayal that I incurred from these people that I was loyal to, but because of I wanted to see my mother. And it was in part. But I wouldn't learn for years later, several years later, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, I wouldn't learn till then that that was not the only reason I was doing it. I was doing it because I was divinely inspired and guided that if I just do something right with my life, if I help some other men do something right with their lives, that there will be rewards that are tangible in ways that may not be readily seen in the physical realm, but they're felt here and here. And there's a whole lot of men in prison that would tell you that they changed their lives because of my guidance, because of the direction I showed them they had within them, the rectitude and the fortitude to change their life. Many of these guys had dates, so what better place to start than right here? But I had no idea that so many would attach to that and follow me down that path. That it would one day become a very thread of the very faith that we follow. Some have called it Casperism. Some have called me the father of fundamental Odinism. Whatever it is, it ain't about me. And if I was able to take even a couple of these young men, even some older than me, and help them see what they were made of inside, and restore a sense of dignity, integrity, self-esteem, and I could be a part of that. I felt powerful. I felt powerful in a way that I never did when I thought I felt godlike in making decisions that controlled other people's lives and destinies. I had one kid that got out and became a successful truck driver and truck owner-operator. I had another one who I spend a lot of time with out here now who is a union man. I am so proud of this young man. I mean, he's busting his tail working, drilling. He's a union driller up and down the state in the 11 western states. He's doing so good. I feel blessed by whatever divine powers be, what I call Odin and the gods, that I was given the ability to articulate whatever these men needed to hear to finally find what resonated with them to change their lives, to stop using dope, to stop passing the buck of accountability off onto somebody else. For the longest time, I used to say, I was the only guy in prison that was guilty. I didn't meet anybody else that was guilty but me. Everybody's, I didn't do it. I got framed. I got set up. That's not the way it happened. I was guilty as fuck. There's no getting around it. And I believed in the old Beretta axiom. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Doesn't mean I wanted to get caught, but if I got caught, you took your pinch and you fucking did your number. You know what I mean? That's all there was to it. So, it doesn't make it any easier to swallow when it's so lengthy, or, you're locked in a world with people that you don't want to be with. That's another byproduct of changing who you used to be to somebody new, somebody better. Now you're around people that you used to think were all right, and someone you called friends, and now you got nothing in common with these people. And you realize they're not cool at all, and you don't want anything to do with them. And more you realize you're surrounded by a whole lot of people like that, and fewer people that want to do something right with themselves. But don't you know, people come up. They come up and they want to be the example too. They want to change. They want to be the example to their little girls and their sons, and they don't want to come back to prison when they get out. And out of all the ones that I've had any hand in helping realize their potential, I'm proud to say that none of them have come back to prison. A couple dozen guys that I've watched walk out, none of them's come back to prison. One did get back involved in the life, and he suffered for it with his life, from what I understand. Out there doing the thug thing. But the others, they're all successfully out there, and even those that they touch, that I didn't personally have anything to do with, but they did. They're even out there doing good now. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of my marriage. I never did anything that I stuck to in my life. I never stuck to anything long term, except for my affiliation with an organized crime faction, and my longest relationship was 3 years in my life. Now I've been with my wife for going on 20 years, and she's a square. Who knew that's what you needed was a square, not some gal hanging off a pole. All due respect to them, they work hard. But, once again, there's a lifestyle filled with vice and drugs and everything else. Respecting yourself and respecting somebody else who doesn't afford you that respect, the two are not compatible. You can't respect somebody or something that doesn't afford you the same deference, the same due deference. To do so makes you somebody who's disrespecting yourself. Think about that the next time you try to give of yourself to somebody who's not reciprocating deference with you. When you look in the mirror in the morning, you start your day, brush your teeth, shave, brush your hair, whatever you're doing, man or woman, look yourself in the eyes. Take some time and look yourself in the eyes in the mirror. I guarantee it's not an easy thing to do. It sounds so simple, but it's not. Look yourself in the fucking eyes. Look yourself in the face. And do an honest survey for about fucking 3 or 4 minutes. And you ask yourself, who are you today? Who were you yesterday? And who do you want to be tomorrow, more importantly? Whatever anybody's become in this world, good, bad, infamous, famous, it's not about what you did yesterday. It's about what you're doing today and what you're willing to do tomorrow. And that's the reality of it, my friends. So I digress back to fortitude and rectitude. Every man and woman watching this, every kid has it within them to change the path they're on. More importantly, it's a choice that you make. Nobody makes it for you. You decide. I've seen so many people make a choice and then rear up against it when their friends try to support them, as if this choice was hoisted on them instead of they made that choice. Because sometimes it's uncomfortable. Gods know I didn't like things going on in my head when I had to sit with myself and face an honest survey of the things I've done, the things I've been a part of, or the things I might have been able to intervene in and chose not to because I didn't want to seem weak. There's some ugly things in my head, some uncomfortable things. But you know what? I'm living with it today because I'm trying to live a better life. I'm trying to be a better man. No, I'm not trying. I am being a better man. I'm a good neighbor to my neighbors. I live in a neighborhood full of cops, literally. Street law enforcement and a whole lot of prison guards. And they know I'm here. I've had word come to me from other neighbors that they're even glad I'm here. I'm glad to be here. And you know what? I've never harbored any ill will towards somebody who goes to work, makes a career for themselves and a living for their family. I've never cared for the corrupt guys, who try to sit there and play the thug role and the gang role, and while they're hiding behind a badge. But those who just put on that uniform and go to work, I mean, it's an ugly job, it's an unthankful job. And a lot of those people are good people. I've known a lot of good people that have been instrumental in changing a lot of people's lives without even trying or being a part of their job description. So, and I got nothing but respect for law enforcement that is on the up and up and legitimate. They protect, they serve our loved ones. We might have lived outlaws' lives, some of us, but you know what? We wouldn't have called the cops, but you know what your loved ones do? Your mom does, your sister does, and they're there, So, I have nothing but respect for legitimate law enforcement. They'll never get a foul word out of my mouth about them. I see this defund the police stuff, and it's like it makes me sick. This anarchy, this would-be anarchy stuff. There's no such thing. Okay, so you're an anarchist and you achieve anarchy, like in Seattle or Portland. And then what happens when it's your house that these people are breaking into? It's your daughter they're taking off into the night to rape. Who are you going to call? What then? All of a sudden, you're not an anarchist anymore. You're not a defund the police anymore. What the fuck is that? Doesn't matter what you think about our society. Without law and order, there is only chaos. And my friends, I can tell you what a world of chaos looks like. I can tell you. I've been a part of it. I've seen it. And, it's like an ordered chaos. Sometimes it's controlled. A lot of the times it's not. And there's nothing nice or good or beneficial about it, except for the people that are benefiting from the illicit gotten gains of it. You know, I don't want to get long-winded. I don't know what these podcasts are doing. I've gotten some good feedback, so I'm trying to get more with the program. I know they're not good. They just end abruptly and everything like that. I'm no studio guy, and I'm no podcaster for that fact. But I'm trying to do the right thing here. I'm trying to redeem myself. You get involved in this life. At whatever point, there's a point that comes along where you've willfully, of your own volition, forfeit the grace you were born with. We're all born with a portion of grace. You forfeit that grace. Piecemeal, on the installment plan, all together in one move, one moment of a bad decision, lack of judgment, or maybe not even lack of judgment, willful judgment that is just nefarious and pernicious. But you give that grace away. You forfeit it. If you're any kind of a person that's not a monster inside you or a psychopath, if you're any kind of a human, if there's any humanity left inside you, there comes a point where you want that grace back. You want that mulligan. You want that do-over. You want to do this. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get a little bit of that grace back, a little restoration of that, some redemption. I'm trying to do the right thing now. I'm trying to make a difference in a positive fashion. So people don't have to feel the pain and the misery of the ripple effects of what people such as I used to be cause, leave in their wake, the damage, without even considering it. I didn't do things with the intention of harming other people other than who it was targeted for. I never thought about it. I never gave a shit. I thought to myself when I had to go before the parole board and I had to do some honest surveying to internalize things, I thought to myself, who were my victims? Well, the immediate victims are easy to point out. It's the ones that you don't ever think are victims that you have to start doing some painful surveying to get to. But you start realizing, hey, there's sirens responding to something that you created. And cars have to pull over. And somewhere in one of those cars is somebody who went through a very traumatic experience in their life. And just by that virtue of that siren going by, lights and sirens, it triggers something in there. Their day is changed. They're back in a place that they hope to forget and spent years trying to get over. That's a victim. It's a victim of mine. I didn't like that. Another thing I started thinking about, when I joined that organization, or I got involved in that lifestyle, unwillingly, unbeknownst to them, and without their blessings or even their knowledge, my family, my neighbors, my friends, my neighborhood, anybody near me also joined that organization and that lifestyle. I'm now trying to put some pieces together in a cogent manner to serve public safety in society and to do the right thing before I leave this mortal coil. I am very certain about where I will end up after this based upon my religious beliefs. But it's not something you just do one or two things and you get there. It's a daily battle. And your sword that you die with in your hand to make it to Valhalla is a proverbial sword. That proverbial sword is your actions, your good deeds, what you're willing to do and contribute to the good of the all. It's a very Tyrian aspect of the god Tyr, who sacrifices his hand for the good of all the gods and goddesses when the wolf Fenrir bites it off. This is a mythological account of somebody sacrificing themselves for the good of the all. Well, that's what it is. Here I am. I'm sacrificing myself for the good of the all. That's how I'm going to spend my life. What's left of it. I got end-stage liver disease, cirrhosis of the liver, diabetic, hypertension. I look good on the outside, but I'm a mess on the inside. I'm going to be 62. They told me I'd be dead 2 years ago, 7 years ago. So I'm still here on borrowed time. So I don't know how much time I have left. I just want to do the right thing with what I have left. Every day of it. The pain people feel out there, the pain our youth feel, and not even just our youth, wounded souls, people that are down and out, psychologically and mentally beaten down by the everyday rigors of life and society and many of the things that are going on in the world today. There seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel for some of these people. I was having a conversation with my wife and somebody else the other day, and we were talking about the first school shootings, because there's so many of them now, the whole Columbine thing. And I said, if I could go back in time and talk to those two kids, Cleobold, and I can't remember the other one's name, forgive me, but if I could go back and talk to those kids just a day before that happened, I would say to them, the pain you're feeling that's making you think about what you're thinking about doing, it will pass. And your life will change. And the awkwardness and the ostracization, all that will go by the wayside too. And one day you'll be a grown man, whether you're sitting around smoking dope or you're working what seems to be a meaningless job to you, or you're really enjoying what you're doing with your job, whatever the case may be. You'll look back at that time in your life and all the years that have elapsed in between, because they go fast. They go fast, friends. And you'll want that time back. You'll want that time back. And the decision you're about to make, the thing you're thinking about doing right now, it ain't worth it. I mean, it ain't worth it to the dozens of people you're going to just destroy lives with. The survivors, everything. But it's not worth it to you either. Life is an awesome journey. It's pregnant with potential. Every morning that you wake up, every morning, this morning, right now, while you're watching this day is pregnant with potential that most of you can't even see, but it's there. And by the end of the day, some of you will know what that potential was, and you'll be the beneficiaries of it. Others may say, well, the day didn't really yield anything, so I don't know what the fuck Casper was talking about. But trust me, it's there. Sometimes we have to overactively participate in seeking that potential, making that potential happen. I'm going to digress back to where I started. It is my belief, I opine, that the leading cause of recidivism within departments of corrections or the Federal Bureau of Prisons is narcotic use. And there's a lot to say about what's going on within the California Department of Corrections itself regarding giving people Suboxone. But that's a whole nother podcast, I suppose, maybe. I don't know. But recidivism's champion is drug use. Institutionalization is the second leading cause. But drug use. We have all these facilities out here, low end, high end, Beverly Hills, Long Island, bumfucked Egypt, whatever you can afford. Many of them will yield good, positive results for a few people, but not the majority of them. And the reason is because if you want to quit doing something that's deleterious to your to your lifestyle, to your the behaviors that you're committing are deleterious. If you want to change those, there's a key word. Listen to what I said. If you want to change those, you will change those. Nobody else can change them for you. There's no great wisdom from the man on the mountain. He's inside, right here. He's here. You quiet yourself long enough to make some reasonable and sound decisions, and you decide you want to change who you've been, the life you've been living, that you're sick and tired of it. Forget all the cliches about hitting rock bottom and everything else. I mean, God's blessed those who it works for, but I'm telling you, when I left lock, stock, and barrel. Just like when I quit smoking cigarettes, like when I quit anything. People think it's crazy. Look at Casper. What the fuck's going on with him? I'll sit here and do this when I don't like something I do. You do that about fucking 5 or 6 times an hour while you're trying to break a habit. You'll break that habit in a day. And you'll suffer whatever pain comes along with it in the rigors of kicking, going through withdrawals, whatever the fuck it is you need to do. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to change the misery you're mired in? I hope this has been helpful and somewhat constructive. That's my desire. I wish you all a good day, and I wish you peace, and I hope you find that potential that's out there. Till then, this is Dr. Casper Rosenthal in the world at large. How about that?